Now let's get back to our last topic that we need to cover, and that is, how do I invoice for time and expenses? Well, what we did with Amanda is we actually entered that she worked some time for Chapel Law Offices. Now that Amanda has been paid for that time, we need to go ahead and bill Chapel for it. It's a reimbursable expense. This is something that you're familiar with, at least the first part. We'll go up to Tasks and come down and create an invoice. We'll create an invoice for Chapel. And all of the information that you know is true is already here. But notice on the lower left side, there's a little right pointing arrow that says Apply Tickets or Expenses. Let's give that a click. By doing so, we get to see a box that has any of the costs or expenses that throughout our use of Peachtree, we've attributed to this particular customer or job. This is what makes it very easy to keep track if you've been using the Jobs column, which is usually the last column in a lot of the windows you've been looking at. In this case, I can see at the very top that I have some pay that's due, and I'm going to go ahead and say to use that. I also have some different expenses that were already entered. If I wanted to include those, I could simply put the check marks next to the appropriate ones as well. If I don't use them, then they will automatically come up the next time I create an invoice if I click on the button to see them. At the bottom, we can see a calculated summary of what's going on with all of the things we've added. We'll come up and say OK. And we can see in this particular invoice that we have added in the $70 for her labor. Now, it doesn't come up with a description, so I would recommend that you probably want to type a description. It could be attributable to a specific employee, and I could put that employee in here, or what is most likely going to happen is you're just going to put in a generic entry for the company. For example, maybe this was consulting services. Regardless of the description you put in, this is how we kind of bring everything full circle. If you've been working with expenses and time that are based for a particular customer, you need to put that into an invoice, and this is how it's done. When you're finished, you would go ahead and process it as normal. I'm going to go ahead and just click to save, and then to close. Now we've gone through the full cycle. We've paid Amanda, we've paid her for time that she spent, and we've been able to bill that time to a customer. Also, because there was a sales rep that was listed on the invoice, those trellises that were added as an invoice item have now been paid commission. So when you set everything up correctly in Peachtree, a lot of the automation starts to be seen when you get into the sales, the payment, and the payroll processes.